So I have two topics to start us off. One is topside Kimura. So let's go the other way. So topside Kimura, and I do it differently from a lot of other people. A lot of people bring up the leg. There's a couple of small things that I do to set things up in a more dangerous way, especially if the guy decides that he's going to stay strong. We have scissor choke. It's very strong, guys, by the way. And the other one is if you got somebody big and they decide they're going to come up, we switch into an armbar. So we could talk about how do I set that up, because there's a lot of intricacies to make that happen. And basically what I'm doing is I'm actually stopping his escape routes before they even happen. So the normal escape routes that he would take where he gets away clean and winds up on top are not available. So he only has bad choices. The other one, guys, I'm starting to not be able to take this. So this is more a NoGi type of thing, but how many times have you seen this? On Instagram. How many times have you seen that sequence or similar sequence to that? I see it all the time in my feed. Aaliyah, do you have the bleeping button?
We are ready.
I have 2 words for it. Ah, shit. It's a good thing I keep pushing it, because this is idiotic. Completely idiotic. Okay? Why? If I beat somebody's entry, if I do this, I am not rolling back into a back take, because if you've been watching some of the episodes before, it's completely symmetrical. So I can roll. I'm sitting pretty right now. I'm on top. In a self-defense scenario, I'm going to elbow him in the head. In a jiu-jitsu scenario, this is what I'm going to do. I mount. He's not going to escape. Now, when you do that back take, that's real jiu-jitsu, guys. That is definition of real, R-E-E-L jiu-jitsu. I see it literally 3 times a day on Instagram. And some of it is people that I follow. So, guys, if I follow you and you follow me, stop this bullshit. Now, otherwise it's suggested because it's, jiu-jitsu related. This is literally definition of real jiu-jitsu. Does it look good? No. To me, that I've been doing this for a long time, it looks like you're an idiot. If I beat this, now I go for the back take as I'm going for this. Right now, we're in a symmetrical position. If Crash, well, he's got a little bit thicker legs. If he kicks this leg forward, guess what? He's now hunting for me. Why? Because you made a stupid move. The only way I'm going to do that back take roll from the top is I'm in a submission only match and I need to create something. There's, you cannot sort of break the person down. The skill gap, there's really no skill gap. It's a very even match. Another way would be is if I'm just playing around. Third way is if the guy's hunting for my back, or if he's hunting for something, he's getting close to something, and I need to create a scramble, maybe. But if I'm crushing his hips to the point where literally you can mount with ease, and it's going to be a strong mount. It's not going to be like a mount where the guy still fights. There is no reason to do this. Absolutely no reason to do this. So beware of real jiu-jitsu, guys. It's bumming me out. Yeah, because it used to be that people would get their jiu-jitsu sort of technique if they didn't buy instructionals. They would get it from YouTube, which would be more extended, 20 minutes, half an hour, 45 minutes. It's transitioned to a point where now most of the people's jiu-jitsu techniques, and they go off some 30-second or a minute reel, and a lot of times, oh, this looks amazing. Yeah, it looks amazing because the person on the bottom is not resisting. But if you think it through, like, does this make sense in light of what jiu-jitsu is supposed to be about? Absolutely not. So those are some of the topics we could start with, unless you guys have questions, which, as you know, always overrule what we have planned.
We had a bunch of good mornings. Ensper, Keon, Raji's watching.
What's up, guys?
Bob
Raji, good
Adams.
luck. I hope you stop playing basketball. You're too short for that. Jiu-jitsu is the way to go.
Ensberg did have a question. Do you use the Tarikoplata at all, Fox? Regardless, I would love to see your side control Kimura sequences.
That's a very good question. So Tarikoplata, Plata, which is very closely related, it's basically a shoulder lock. I rarely use it. Why? I don't understand it well enough to use it on a consistent basis. I've literally played with both of them for 5 years. I'm getting close, guys. I'm getting to a point where I can start to use it, but I think for me right now, there's better sequences that I can have a higher finish rate and higher sort of rate of controlling where the guy goes. Where with those, if you make a mistake, your guard is passed. So I rarely use them. I think they're very good weapons. Fionn Davies uses them sometimes, and it's a good technique. They're really good, but it really requires for you to understand how they fit into your overall game. So what they do is for me, I always get confused between Plata and Tarikoplata, but for me, they may fit with the Urugatame game. However, I need to sort of, for the most logical one, I need to regrip it. I'm not a fan of regripping. So right now, I'm still trying to figure out how they would fit better into the game. And I think it's basically if the guy locks up and hides his arm. So when I'm going for Urugatame, let's turn around. So I'm going Urugatame and he buries his arm under my leg, yeah. So now I have the makings of one of them, but the problem is this is not easy. Right now, I'm having a very hard time trying to sit up. So yeah, I'm already cramping up in my hips because. So for me, when this happens, I'd rather post on the hip, and this will ferret out that arm a lot easier than the other attack. But that doesn't mean that it's not viable. Okay. Now off the arm drag, sometimes when you do an arm drag and the guy hides that arm, this to me is more natural. However, usually I do a better job controlling the wrist. So I don't want to necessarily go there because if he manages to not get his wrist trapped, your guard is getting passed. So I don't use them a lot. I'm not saying they're not good, but there's certain things I keep putting on the shelf and then bringing back out and then putting back on the shelf. And I'm getting better at understanding those moves. I still have a hard time incorporating them into my game right now. Right now, I'm actually working on things. With the drag, arm drag, sort of when you do a wrestling slide by, there's a lot of variations on that. And I'm trying to incorporate that. Slide by is usually used when you're standing. And there's a lot of different variations. I usually like this one. So I'm trying to incorporate that concept into my ground game. And it's working. I'm sort of playing around with the leg lock entries. Again, keep going everything to that backside 90-10, which is working well for me. And I'm also working on when guys start to deny me the split guard with a gatame, going into a sweep. So those are some of the things that I'm working on right now. I have it already, but I don't have them as good as I'd like to have them. So that's what I'm working on. So that's
As a follow-up question, Ensberg said, I've never tried a Tarikoplata from the bottom, only from the top when I have a north-south Kimura grip, and I can't separate the hands. I believe I've seen you switch to the far side arm lock instead.
no. Usually I will not. So if I have the arm isolated, so if I'm here, right? So if I have, so Crash's left arm, my right arm is. So I can basically, make sure, and this is sort of my preferred method of ferreting it out, assuming that I have right on his left. Now, if I decide that I'm going to go for Kimura, I usually have I can usually ferret it out. So first, I sit on the guy's head. But also know that when his head is on the ground, Crash can get to his knees pretty easily. So go back. So watch how he gets to his knees. Go. Okay, now. Get to your knees. It's a lot slower. So how do I control the head? I control the head with my legs. That's to me is sort of the invisible jiu-jitsu, although we just open the curtain. It's visible now. Usually when people do Kimura, it looks the same. Like this is the way people tend to do like this. And then somehow sit out. So that's like starts out. I don't do that. I keep both my knees down. And I try to control his head with my legs because it gives me the scissor choke that we talked about a little bit earlier. But it also allows me to switch into the armbar if the guy decides to come up to his knees. And I can do this to very big men. Does it sound right? So it's not a strength because usually for the defense against a Kimura, so it's a shoulder, it's a shoulder lock, right? And you're torquing the elbow. So when the guy focuses on controlling, making sure you don't torque his elbow to cause pain in the shoulder, the hand becomes weak. And that's when it comes out very easily. And usually I go to sort of a Kimura / Uregatame almost combination. I showed it to you at the very beginning. So that's how I approach the topside Kimura. In the past, if you asked me 10 years ago, maybe 15 years ago, I would have said Kimura is for strong guys only. That's because I didn't understand it well enough to understand that it's you can play around with it and there's a lot of control in how you manipulate the arm. So if I'm doing this, I'm forcing the guy when I bring up the arm, same grip, guys. So I don't change my grip. I'm pinning him. So basically, very, very small movements. So right now, if I'm doing this, I'm forcing Crash to go sort of in this case clockwise pattern to protect his arm. Now, if he starts to go flat and I just straighten it, now he's pinned. So I can literally, without changing my grip, control how he moves his body. That's what Mike, I believe, calls the intricate pain compliance. And we're out of time?
Yeah, we're just about out of time. We have
okay.
1 minute left. We just had
Guys, we're going to take this on the app. If you don't have the app, get it. Right now we're offering 3 free days. So you can play around with it. And if you want to sign up, you can sign up. It's available on both Apple and Google Store.
We just have one last question. I don't know if you have time to answer it.
Yes, I do.
Okay.
We'll make time.
Gav Hewlett 2023 asks, personally for you, how do you choose between a crab ride or leg entry?
I probably go for a leg entry. It's a little bit crab ride becomes, sometimes I get stuck in a crab ride. Let me put it this way, guys. That rolling back take. I can tell you that if you do that to Enrique, I don't know if Enrique is watching. If you do that rolling back take from Enrique, 99 out of 100 times, he will take your back even though you initiated because you're putting yourself in a symmetrical position. So with the crab ride, it's not so much, but you're underneath the guy, and if things go awry, there's some possibility he's going to wind up on top. I generally would probably go for a leg entry because a lot of times the feet are kind of flapping around in the wind. A lot of times when you attack the legs, the defense against leg entries is put your back on the floor and try to either spin or retract your legs, which now allows me to get back on top. So that's what I would prefer, I think. Guys, we're out of time. We're going to the app side. Guys, we're going to talk about more details. So on YouTube, we're about 10, 15 minutes. We might have gone over 15 minutes. Talk about the technique. On the app, we continue with the topics, but in greater detail. So, guys, it does come down to small things on the Kimura. We're going to talk about it. Everything is about little things. And that's when real jiu-jitsu, if the guys that pay attention too much to the people putting out these reels, which some of them are ridiculous, but you'll never see, I don't want to comment, like, why would I crap on somebody else's creation? I just hide the reel. I don't want to look at it. But it comes down to small adjustments. All right, I'll see you on the app side.